Hi everybody, I'm Danny Hitt.
And I'm Christina Macauley.
Thanks for joining us here at the Public Cable Television Authority for another edition of Orange Slices.
This show is all about the fantastic things that make Orange County such a great place to live. Slices of life from right here in the OC.
That's right, and we have another great show lined up for you. We'll be taking a look at how a music video is helping some lovable pets find much needed homes.
We'll also show you how the Stanton Community Foundation uses classic rides and custom wheels to give local families a helping hand.
But first, to start things off, imagine riding down the freeway to the coast and, well, you know, when you hit the beach, you keep right on going across the open ocean.
Well, it might sound like Hollywood is shooting a new James Bond movie, but this is the real thing. The world's fastest water car is being manufactured right here in Fountain Valley, and that's where I'm heading right now.
Bon voyage! Wait until you see this amazing machine. And even more amazing, the man behind the water car may not be James Bond, but he's pretty much become a local celebrity because of his wild inventions. Let's have Christina introduce us to Dave March.
This is the world's fastest amphibious car. Never before has there been something this powerful, this versatile, and completely water safe. It's called the Water Car, and this amazing ride is built right here in Fountain Valley. The story of how the water car came to be dates back to 1975, when entrepreneur Dave March opened a small auto body shop. Dave has grown Fountain Valley Body Works into one of the largest collision repair companies in the nation. His signature smiley face is well recognized, a symbol of his determination to make sure every customer leaves happy.
We take frowns and make them into smiley, and we're proud of that. And it's something that we're able to use as, you know, an attention getter, and yet when people come in here, they understand what the smiley face means to us.
He says the key to success over the years has not only been to exceed customer expectations, but to also invest in the right equipment to keep up with new technology on the road.
Because the cars themselves were they were changing so rapidly. It was the beginning of unibody construction of the cars, and they were being lighter, safer, better gas mileage. And so we had to figure that out. And so many of the other shops, they weren't big enough to really invest in the equipment.
For example, this $50,000 diagnostic computer.
It's absolutely crucial, because if a car's hit in one area, you don't know whether or not there's damage in other areas. And the car may never drive the same unless you get it exactly the way that the manufacturer designed it and the way it was put together.
Recently, Dave decided to expand the company by opening an express location. And that's when son Michael decided to make a career change from his other job and join the family business.
Not only the general manager, but I'm the son of the owner. And if there's an issue or something, or I feel like a customer didn't get the same experience that I would like them to have, I mean, I'll reach out to them personally. So you have an owner on site, and that's that personal touch that Fountain Valley Body Works is built on.
This customer-first philosophy is sure to keep the family business going strong. Dave has also made it a priority to give back to the community and always finds fun ways to do it. For example, he built this giant red flyer wagon, which is often seen at local parades and fundraisers.
He built the wagon out of just writing on a piece of paper and saying, you know what, let's come up with something fun. And he makes, it's fun. It's a family-owned business. We could do this job and have no problem, you know, fixing cars, but we put a little fun into it.
I'm lucky because I grew up here and I stayed involved, and this is just a great place to live. I mean, how much better can it be living here and to be able to have a business that I only have to drive 15 minutes to work?
That short commute comes in handy because there's always a project underway at the shop. Friends joke that Dave is SoCal's version of Richard Branson, a successful entrepreneur who dreams big. And now, the water car is by far his biggest endeavor yet.
He's always built fast boats, he's always built fast cars, he's always had to be the fastest guy on the lake, he's always had to be the fastest guy on the ocean, the fastest, biggest, baddest car. And how do you one-up everybody? And being able to say that your car can drive on water, I know of anybody that can say that. When you're driving and you hit the water and all of a sudden the boat's floating, and then you have that next step where you gas it and it actually takes off and goes on plane. It's better than flying in an airplane. I mean, it literally blows your mind, and there's no way to describe it.
This is the research and development garage where years and years have been spent working on a concept, which at first Dave thought would be fairly simple.
To me, when we first started looking at it and looking at so many of the components that are in the marine applications in boats and the newer cars, lightweight, high power, corrosion protected, that you start putting that together and thinking it wouldn't be too hard to get a car to go on the water or a boat to go on the road.
In the early days, the first models were fun, but they didn't go very fast.
So I'm a kind of guy that I don't like slow. If I'm going to have something, I want it fast. And to be able to take a car into the water, I was so hooked. So I just figured if I could just make this thing fast. So we've put a bigger motor in it and kind of worked with it and didn't go much faster. So we started realizing you have to lift the tires up. You have to lift the wheels up.
Time and again, they went back to the drawing board. Even as each new model came closer to the goal, they would always look for ways to take it to the next level. Today, their perseverance has paid off.
We're finally to that point. After all these years, we finally have something that we're just extremely proud of because it works so well. I can go down the freeway at freeway speeds, no problem. And I could go on the water 40, 45 miles an hour.
But to market this car to the general public, Dave knew that along with speed and performance, it also had to be safe and reliable.
It's all foam filled, kind of like a surfboard. So if it does, you start taking on water, it's not going to sink. And the thing is, they're extremely reliable because we have the new Honda VTEC motor in it. So we've tried Corvette engines, we've done Subaru engines, and actually what we're at right now is the Honda. It's a VTEC motor and it works great. It's the same motor that the Honda makes the 250 outboard in. So people all over the world recognize this motor as like an outboard motor, but here again, it's the same motor that's been in a Honda Accord. So it puts out the power, it's lightweight, and anybody can work on it. It was such a natural. When we designed and found this motor to work for us, it just solved so many of our issues, and they're just so dependable.
The biggest challenge was creating a seamless transition from land to water. Until now, amphibious cars required the driver to stop and make a variety of adjustments to switch the car from road mode to water safe.
So what we really strived for was to make this transition between the water and land and water smooth. Just something that was really thought out. So where we put everything needs to be like in a car, but the same steering wheel works in the water as it does in a car. And man, just the engineering involved with that. 6 patents involved with that. So in essence, what you do, as soon as you hit the water, all you do is put it in neutral here, and you flip this little switch right here, and then the wheels come up and you drive it just like a boat.
Another unique feature is the ability to open the car doors while on the water.
Normally you can't open the doors in the water, but what's unique about this is that we can open the doors and we can open them and the skier can get in. And so, I mean, there are so many things that are just so well thought out on this and yet so simple.
As the final concept neared completion, Dave looked to every detail to make sure everything about driving the water car would be easy and convenient.
Some of the things that you don't even think about until you're actually starting to drive it. But what do? Does the speedometer work when you're in the water? I mean, the wheels aren't turning, but you still got to know how fast you're going. So that's where technology kind of came up and we met together. This speedometer here is GPS, so it doesn't know whether or not we're in the water or whether or not we're in the lands.
The water car is now officially on the market, but the ticket price isn't for the faint of heart. A fully loaded custom order will set you back about $135,000. Made in the USA, in Fountain Valley, California. You can find out more about the water car at watercars.com.
Now, as you might guess, the water car is a whole new concept for the DMV. And it may be difficult in some states to license and register a water car for street use. But right now, there's pending federal legislation that, if passed, will make the process much easier. Meanwhile, Dave is happy to work with his customers to make sure they get a custom model that meets whatever their local registration requirements might be. Okay, time for our next Orange Slice. Christina has moved on to the city of Westminster, where a music video is helping some very deserving pets find loving homes. Let's take a look.
Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy. Here's my impound number. Adopt me, maybe. It's great, you looked right. Add me, baby. Here's my impound number. Adopt me, maybe.
The fact that this animal shelter has its own music video shows the creativity and forward thinking here at Wag's Pet Adoption in Westminster. After a 13-year career as a veterinarian, Dr. Tia Greenberg decided to open a shelter.
I guess because people always think that shelters are bad places. When you mention shelters to people, people are like, oh, I would never get a shelter animal, or I would never, adopt anything from the shelter. Somehow they think that they're broken.
At most shelters, animals face the sad reality that if they are not adopted within a certain amount of time, they will be euthanized. But Wag's is different. They strive to be a place where every animal can find a second chance.
We strive to have an extremely low euthanasia rate, anywhere from 2 to 4%, which we are extremely proud of.
That 2 to 4% far exceeds the minimum 10% requirement to be what is called a no-kill shelter. For more than 20 years, Westminster had contracted with another facility in Huntington Beach to take in their stray and abandoned animals. Now the city contracts with Wag's.
Animals are held here for anywhere from 72 hours to 14 days, depending on how they come in as strays. At the end of their hold period, we do a full medical assessment as well as behavioral assessment to find out if they are in fact a pet that is adoptable. If they have minor medical or minor behavioral problems that can be remedied within our staff, they stay. We always have a project dog.
For example, this is Hot Wheels. Without the use of his back legs, most shelters would have decided to put him down right away.
Hot Wheels is our long-haired dachshund that came in as a stray. And our veterinarians that were on staff that day felt that he had been hit by a car because he was running around our treatment area but dragging his back end behind. Upon further examination, there was no evidence of him being hit by a car at all, so they deemed him as probably a prior medical condition, possibly some sort of slipped disc or something like that that's fairly rare for dachshunds to have. One of our staff members, her boyfriend, fashioned his wheelchair for him. We saw the need because he wants to run and play.
But even the very best medical care, along with the added special attention, just isn't enough. Hot Wheels still needs a home.
And that's our struggle. When we have our special needs dogs, our project dogs or project cats, it is a little bit tricky to find that perfect home, but that's part of our mission, is to not leave anybody behind.
You don't realize how many animals are actually out in the street until they start coming through the door. And then you realize you have to start spaying and neutering all of them. And then you have to take care of any of the medical problems that they have. And you have to take care of their behavioral. You want to make sure they get behavioral enrichment so that they go home being like this.
Dr. Greenberg was fortunate to find the right staff, as well as the dedicated volunteers needed to make the shelter work.
Most of the people who work here are volunteers, a huge percentage of them. All of our doctors do the work for free. We actually put an ad out for veterinarians to come and spay and neuter the pets, and we got an overwhelming amount of veterinarians that want to come spend their time off volunteering and spaying and neutering the pets for us.
Dr. Greenberg has compassion for every kind of animal, from the very youngest orphans to creatures you would normally run away from.
This is Mr. Perry. He's one of our wildlife rehabilitations that came in. His mom was run over by a car, and he was non-releasable, so we actually keep him now for educational purposes.
Depending on the season, Wag's will have anywhere from 100 to 250 dogs, cats, puppies, kittens, rabbits, whatever animal control brings in. But as much as these pets need homes, Wag's makes it a priority to place them in the right homes. So anyone looking to adopt must first go through a screening process.
This one is the cat adoption application. It's a front and back. But it's asking everything. It asks, do they own or rent where they live? We want to make sure that the pets are allowed where they're going. Is the cat going to be indoors? What do they want it for? And this is cat specific. So we actually have on here mouser or barn cat because people have come in asking for that. We don't adopt for that. We're adopting companions. On the dog side, we have guard dog on there as why do you want a pet? We're not adopting guard dogs here. We're adopting family companions. We're adopting best friends.
Before even coming down to the center, Wag's encourages families to do some research.
You need to know what kind of dog you're looking for. Really research the breeds. You may not be taking home a purebred, although no purebred is immune to a shelter. We get them in all the time. but research what would fit in your house. Is an Australian Shepherd, even though they're gorgeous, are you that active? Can you handle it? Even though you're looking into purebreds, you're going to find those characteristics from all the mixes, and you're going to know, okay, maybe a Beagle Lab would be great for us because we have kids and they're great. Beagles and Labs are both great with kids. It's more of a medium-sized dog. They like the water. Figure out what it is that you are looking for, and then come in.
Before you came into my life, I was just so sad. I was just so sad. I was just so sad. Before you came into my life, I was just so sad.
To help get the word out about their mission, WAGS has produced this music video parody, thanks to the video production company My Story Inc. The whole staff took part in the planning.
We had a couple of things that we definitely wanted. We wanted the dogs running down the hallway. That was a huge, huge thing that we wanted to have on there because that happens on a daily basis. Sometimes not on purpose. Someone opens the door, they all go freedom, and they run back through. But it's great to watch, and it is like them all yelling, "Oh, I'm free!" and they run through. So we were able to get that on twice. We were very happy about that. But as far as the story went, we kind of just went with what the director wanted to do when he got there. Those are my girls, my children in there with me. So we're adopting Skipper, who is actually one of our special needs dogs. He's our blind dog that we have here.
Ideally, the staff and volunteers who run WAGS wish they didn't have a job to do. The overpopulation of unwanted pets will continue to be a problem as long as people fail to spay and neuter. But the solution is for people to adopt rather than buying from breeders or pet stores. And Dr. Greenberg says mixed breeds often make the best pets.
You take a population and then you only have one breed. They have certain characteristics of that breed, but they also have stubborn characteristics and things like that. So when you take two really smart dogs, and maybe temperament-wise, one's temperament may not be so good, you can kind of calm down that temperament by bringing that other breed in. So when they come in here, you never know what you're getting. The best part is trying to guess what it's made out of.
The daily struggle of finding the volunteers and financial support to care for the animals, then finding the right adoptive families is a never-ending job. But the people who run WAGS say it's well worth it.
No words can ever explain the satisfaction that we get out of this. It's something that, I love seeing a new animal go out the door. I love seeing a client come in the door that just adopted a pet from WAGS, to see their face and to see how happy they are that they adopted the pet.
I cannot wait to walk in the door every day. I can't. Every day I'm driving to work. Whose day is it today? When I leave at the end of the day and I walk through, and it's kind of silly, but I kind of apologize to all of the animals that are still here that no one saw how awesome we think that they are. They don't get to see what they're really like. But yeah, walking through every day and wondering whose day it is. Who's gonna go today? That's everything. That's everything.
Learn more about the loving pets available at WAGS Pet Adoption at wagspetadoption.org.
And if you'd like to see the full-length version of that video, it's easy to find on YouTube. Just search the YouTube site for Adopt Me Maybe. Now for our final slice, it's time to rev your engines and head over to the city of Stanton, where Christina is checking out a terrific fundraiser for the Stanton Community Foundation.
For over a dozen years, the city of Stanton has taken pride in what has become one of the best car shows in SoCal.
It's all about community. It's local cars, local people, local vendors. In the hustle and the fuss of everyday life, it's always good to be able to come to a common park and be able to share and catch up with people, friends, and family.
Years ago, when I first got on city council, there was nothing here in Stanton that was our own activity that drew people to the city. We didn't have a carnival. We had a summer fest a little bit, and I always liked cars, little cars, so I thought, why don't we have a car show?
But while the city looked forward to a fun family event, they were also aware that the troubled economy was taking a toll on local families.
The school districts were losing funding for extra stuff. The Boys and Girls Club was losing money for people not having money to donate and so forth. So what suffered was programs for kids.
So the city created the Stanton Community Foundation, and the car show became a primary fundraiser.
We have a backpack program for those kids who can't afford stuff for school. We fill a backpack with pencils and pens and calculators and all that stuff, so they have a chance to succeed in school. And we also have the continuing of the after-school athletic programs for them. We also have a Threads for Kids program we started. A lot of kids in the wintertime don't have the money, their parents don't have the money to buy them even a sweatshirt to keep them warm. So we started to do that, and we closed over 200 kids last year. We're just looking at all these little things that the kids don't have the money for, the parents don't have the money for, and we're trying to fill that little gap, and that's our goal.
And here at the car show, the road to reaching that goal is a whole lot of fun.
I'm loving the whole show, but my daughter is into a 67 Chevy Impala, and that's what I'm looking for. But all of these cars are beautiful.
Cars compete in 5 categories: classics, sports cars, imports, trucks, and custom rides. These judges have a lot to consider.
Of course, quality of workmanship, completion of workmanship, paint, interior, tires, generally the whole vehicle, how it's been taken care of, how it was built and put together.
But there is one thing the judges won't pay attention to.
You don't want to talk to the owners that much because every owner thinks his car is the best.
Johnny isn't just a judge, he's also a competitor. But since he can't judge his own prized 57 Chevy, we gave him a chance to brag a bit.
Well, first of all, it has a 3D3 V8 in it, high performance car. It's a 4-door sedan, hard top, no post, very rare.
Many competitors go the extra mile when it comes to displaying their rides. Richard Schoenholz found this original car hop tray. And yes, you get fries with that.
I bought it online from a guy back in Pennsylvania who, believe it or not, sells these things for people who go to car shows, show their cars, and want to have that 40s, 50s, and 60s element attached to their car. If that's the vintage of their cars, it just makes it more authentic.
His car is a 1975 Chrysler New Yorker Brom.
It had 40,000 original miles on it when I first got it. It's got 60,000 on it now, so the last 25 years, I've only driven it 20,000 miles. But of course, for a car with a 440 engine that only gets 8.5 miles to the gallon, going downhill with the key off, then that's why I only have 20,000 miles added to it.
Another longtime tradition here in the city of Stanton is the Latin Gents Car Club. They hold family cruise nights the first Saturday of every month. And now they've also made the car show a club tradition.
Hey, the Latin Gents started in 1961. As a matter of fact, one of my oldest brother was one of the Latin Gents in 1961. But it wasn't a car club at the time. It was just a regular club. They used to get dressed up, go to dances.
But what has kept the club together all of these years is their common love of cars. And more than any other ride, Chevy reigns supreme.
I love Chevrolets a lot. They have a lot of look to them and a lot of style. They're beautiful cars. I can open up the hood, which is the original engine, 1939. So I try to keep it as much as original I can get. Everything what you see in the car has GM to it. All the parts are GM. Rare, very rare. 1939 came out with 2 horns, city horn and the country horn. And this is the inside here, suicide doors, all wood grain. It's all redone. The way you see it now, that you would have seen back in 1939. Original license plates, reflector, pretty rare. Okay, we're seeing the steering wheel here, and they call it the banjo. That's the top of the line steering wheel. It's about a $2,000 steering wheel here. The fan, it's a GM fan. That goes for $500. A cigarette dispenser. The cigarette will come out and it's already turned on. And I have the umbrella holder with the umbrella. The flashlight, 1939 flashlight. Those are expensive. That's all what I'm gonna say. They're expensive.
Whether you have a love of cars or you just like the idea of supporting your community, mark your calendars each year to visit the Spring Car Show in the city of Stanton. To find out more, visit StantonCommunityFoundation.com.
Hey, welcome back.
Good to be back.
Oh, and thanks a lot for, well, you know, I have no problem scheduling the spring car show on my calendar, but now I feel like I need to run out and adopt every one of those little cute doggies in that video. And on top of the fact that I think I might need a water car now to, you know, haul me and those doggies around.
Well, good for you, because Wags always has lots of pets in need of a good home. And if you can afford the price tag on that water car, you're doing pretty well, my friend.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay, well, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Orange Slices. Thanks for joining us.
And if you have an idea about something or someone that would make a great slice, let us know. Find our Orange Slices page on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you.
Until then, I'm Christina Macauley.
And I'm Danny Hitt.
We'll see you next time.
Imagine, if you will, Christina, cruising down the freeway headed to the beach. And, you know, when you hit the beach there, you just keep on going right across the open ocean.
Well, it might sound like Hollywood is shooting a new James Bond movie, but this is the real thing. The world's fastest water...
Water. Water. Was that Boston? Boston?
Water.
Water car. Do you want me to do... I'm here forever. I live here, actually. I just leave in the morning before you guys get here just to make it look like I'm coming from somewhere. Good? Cool.
Love it.
Go, Danny Hitt.
I love to be loved. It's nice. It's nice. It's nice to be loved. Hugs, hugs, far hugs. Air hugs. IOU hugs. It's time to rev your engines and head over to the city of Stanton, where Christina is checking out a terrific fundraiser for the Stanton. Oh, boo. Why? Hey. Anybody?
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Well, that's going to do it for us this edition.
What she said. Just that. Maybe we can.
This huge crew.
Let's just put a subtitle for that part. We'll subtitle that. That's cool. We'll just, you know, subtitle.